to ensure construction sector remains competitive, sustainable. GISBH CEO among 22 charged. Salam Malaysia Madani, I'm Olivia Nicholas and you're watching Malaysia Tonight. The government is taking proactive steps to ensure that the construction industry remains competitive and sustainable amid expectations of rising tender prices. Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim said the government is driving major infrastructure projects to ensure the construction sector remains resilient by enhancing public-private partnerships (PPPs). The projects include the Sarawak-Sabah Link Road Phase 2, the Pan-Borneo Highway upgrades and the data centre developments in Johor. The text of his speech was read by Works Minister Dato Sri Alexander Nantalinggi at the launch of the International Construction Week ICW and Build Expo 2024.
The construction industry is growing in tandem with the evolution of digital technology, including big data and artificial intelligence, which exponentially increases demand for data centers. Our nation has a rise in the data center cost index, surpassing Oslo, Berlin, and Sydney, demonstrates our growing leadership in this sector.
The Premier added that the government will also invest heavily in green building practices and low-carbon infrastructure development, further aligning the nation's commitments to the SDGs. He said that the sector is on the cusp of a new era in construction, wherein digitalization, sustainability and collaboration will be key drivers of success. On another note, Dato Sri Anwar emphasised that the government is enhancing technical and vocational education and training TVET to prepare Malaysia's workforce for advanced technologies like artificial intelligence, AI and robotics. Noting that technological advancement alone will not suffice and recognising the shortage of skilled labour, the Premier noted that the government is committed to addressing this through robust training programmes and upskilling initiatives.
But technological advancement alone will not suffice. The backbone of our industry remains its people, who recognize shortage of skilled labour and are committed to addressing this through robust training programs and upskilling initiatives.
As of September 2024, Dato Sri Anwar said that over 1.12 million personnel have been registered with the Construction Industry Development Board, CIDB, which is a testament to professionalising the workforce. The online safety bill, which the government will table in the Dewan Rakyat soon, aims to curb criminal activities on social media rather than restricting freedom of expression. Communications Minister Fahmi Fadil explained that it will also ensure social media platform operators are more proactive in curbing criminal activities on their respective platforms to avoid facing action.
Niat kita yang paling utama bukan untuk mengekang suara rakyat, tapi untuk mengekang tindak tanduk penjenayah yang sedang memanipulasi dan mengambil kesempatan, terutama media sosial, untuk melakukan jenayah seperti yang saya telah terangkan tadi. Jadi kita tegaskan kerajaan madani akan mempertahankan hak rakyat untuk bersuara.
Met today, the minister said that while there are efforts to guarantee cheaper internet services, wider and faster coverage, the introduction of the bill is also very important in ensuring its use is safer, especially for children and family members. Fahmi further noted that the government also took several other actions, including amending the penal code to redefine the definition of a mule account, which is often used by scammers to channel stolen money, defining the crime of bullying and cyberbullying, as well as amending the Communications and Multimedia Act. GISB Holding Sdn Bhd GISBH Chief Executive Officer Datuk Nasiruddin Muhammad Ali and his wife Azura Ahmad Yusof were charged in the Selayang Sessions Court today with being members of an organised crime group. Also charged was son of Al Akram founder Ashari Muhammad, Muhammad Adib At-Tarmimi and 19 other individuals. The 13 men and 9 women said they understood the charges after they were read out separately before Judge Lailatul Zuraida Harun. No pleas were recorded as the case is under the jurisdiction of the High Court. They are all accused of being members of the organised crime group GISBH. The accused, aged between 27 and 72, were charged under Section 130V, subsection 1 of the Penal Code, which is punishable by imprisonment of between 5 and 20 years upon conviction. Since the launch of the first phase of Op Global in September, authorities have arrested 415 individuals, including the top management of GISBH, and rescued 625 victims aged between 2 months and 28 years. National mineral policy, key driver of country's economy.
Welcome to On the Table.
Obviously, there are two main engines of growth in any economies.
What are the implications of Malaysia's growth on employment, income levels, and also standard of living per population?
From a historical perspective, it's been good.
The capacity in our country can be built to be in the same level as the world standards.
The Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability is enhancing the regulatory framework for the mineral industry by actively developing the third national mineral policy. Minister Nazmi Nik Ahmad said the policy, which is being developed together with the Department of Mineral and Geoscience, aims to be a key driver of the country's economy in the mineral sector. He also hopes that the mineral sector will significantly impact the country's gross domestic product (GDP), attract more foreign direct investment (FDI), and contribute to sustainable economic growth.
Over the years, the approach to developing these resources has evolved from traditional mining practices to more sustainable and technologically advanced methods. We are also shifting from just focusing on exporting raw minerals to processing them in our country.
He said this at the opening ceremony of the Asia Iron Ore Summit 2024. The minister also believed that the summit will inspire positive progress, foster innovation and strengthen shared values while playing a crucial role in building collaboration and partnerships in the ferrous sector. The proposed construction of the Champon Ranong land bridge in Thailand will not affect the country's ports. Transport Minister Anthony Loke is confident that the country's ports have their own advantages and remain the best port centre in the international transport sector. Therefore, he said the national port operator is required to remain competitive by increasing efficiency in the field of technology.
Kita tak perlu bimbang kerana yang pertamanya kita mempunyai kelebihan dari segi kedudukan geografi. Kita berada di tengah-tengah Selat Melaka dan juga Laut Cina Selatan. Jadi kita di laluan perairan yang paling sibuk di dunia. Jadi yang pentingnya ialah operator-operator kita mesti berdaya saing dan kita perlu merangka dasar perdagangan yang bebas, yang terbuka.
He said this after officiating the 2024 ASEAN Ports and Logistics Exhibition and Conference in Johor Bahru today. The land bridge project in Thailand aimed at developing a logistics network connecting Ranong with Champon. In addition to that, Lok mentioned that his ministry guarantees that the Rural Air Service RAS subsidy will continue to be provided to Maswing's Sdn Bhd even after being taken over by the Sarawak state government next year. He stated that the Ministry of Transport is committed to ensuring the RAS industry in the country remains a priority regardless of who the airline operator is. He also said that the ministry has also signed a Memorandum of Understanding MOU with the state government involved to enable the continued distribution of subsidies.
Kita telah pun sudah ada MOU persefahaman dengan kerajaan Sarawak bahawa sekiranya mereka mengambil alih Maswing, kita tetap memberikan subsidi untuk pengangkutan luar bandar atau penerbangan luar bandar, rural air service lah, apa yang dipanggil sebagai rural air service. Memang setiap tahun Kementerian Pengangkutan ada peruntukan untuk memastikan perkhidmatan penerbangan luar bandar itu tidak terjejas.
Earlier, Sarawak Premier Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Oping informed that the process of acquiring Maswings by the Sarawak government will be finalised soon. The state government is currently in advanced negotiations with several stakeholders, including the Malaysian Aviation Group MAG, Khazanah National Berhad, and airport operator Malaysia Airports Holdings Berhad MAHB. The number of electrified vehicles (XEV) has reached 33,319 units as of 30th of September 2024. Minister Investment, Trade and Industry Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said, overall, this number of XEVs represent about 5% of the total industry volume (TIV) in the same period.
Termasuklah jenis BEV lebih kurang 15,000 lebih lah, dan jumlah XEV ini secara keseluruhan mewakili lebih kurang 5% daripada total industri volume. Dan insyaAllah berdasarkan prestasi ini, kerajaan melihat penggunaan kenderaan hybrid dan PHEV ini masih relevan.
Previously, the government aimed for 20% of the annual number of new vehicles by 2030 to consist of XEVs. The use of hybrid EV, HEV and plug-in hybrid EV, PHEV vehicles support the country's desire to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Tengku Dato' Sri Zafrul said this in a question and answer session at the Dewan Rakyat today. The All-Party Parliamentary Group Malaysia on Sustainable Development Goals APPGM SDG today reaffirms its commitment in SDG localization efforts at the grassroots level. This comes following the announcement of 20 million ringgit plus another 10 million ringgit for community farming projects during the tabling of Budget 2025 by Prime Minister Dato' Sri Anwar Ibrahim at the Dewan Rakyat last Friday.
So total sebenarnya kepada APPGM SDG adalah 30 juta ringgit lah. Ini menunjukkan betapa saya rasa Yang Amat Berhormat Perdana Menteri mempercayai macam mana kita menguruskan APPGM SDG sendiri, dan tentunya sudah tentu apa orang bilang, kita punya kerja ni bukannya kerja saya satu orang, bukannya juga kerja dengan ahli-ahli parlimen yang lain, tetapi juga kita ada sekretariat kita sendiri.
Isna Raisa Munira Majlis, chairperson of APPGM SDG, said a total of 35,000 people benefited from the implementation of 664 SDG solution projects and 198 community farming projects by 559 solution partners through the APPGM SDG platform, courtesy of the special fund approved by the Ministry of Finance. Moving forward, the APPGM SDG chairperson noted that with the new budget, they plan to expand their SDGs localization works to another 30 parliamentary constituencies nationwide. From 2020 to 2024, APPGM SDG has successfully carried out localization efforts in 115 parliamentary constituencies. Snowflake, a data cloud company, said it believes artificial intelligence AI could transform manufacturing and services sector into making a huge growth within the Malaysian economy. Its senior regional vice president ASEAN and India, Sanjay K. Deshmukh, mentioned that all this while industries such as logistics, manufacturing and services are working in silos, and it is time for these industries to be driven by AI.
AI can make a huge impact on this company in terms of improving efficiency. So whether these companies are trying to use this to serve the customers better, whether they are trying to use this to improve internal productivity of employees, they can achieve both of these objectives by driving automation through AI-driven processes.
Speaking to RTM, he added building strong data foundation, skills gap, and data security are among the challenges that Malaysian companies are facing in imparting AI into their business.
But as an enterprise or as a company, you have a concern that is my data training the model, and will somebody else from a competitor benefit from that? This is the biggest concern that they have. And the other concern that they have is that the data should not get compromised.
Sanjay made these remarks at the Snowflake World Tour event today. In the 2025 budget, the government made a bold move in Malaysia's journey towards a digital future with a series of initiatives aimed at strengthening the digital economy and accelerating the adoption of AI. The Malaysia External Trade Development Corporation (MATRADE) has successfully achieved 152 million ringgit of potential sales through the International Sourcing Program (INSP) in conjunction with Bill Expo 2024. The INSP attracted a diverse group of 11 international buyers from 8 countries, namely Qatar, Australia, Hong Kong, Poland, Egypt, China, Thailand, and Vietnam. In a statement today, MATRADE said the INSP solidified Malaysia's position as a global sourcing hub for high-quality products and services in the construction industry, held in conjunction with Bill Expo 2024, which aimed to promote Malaysia's construction and building materials sector. The event had gathered key stakeholders from the construction sector, showcasing a tremendous array of innovations and fostering industry partnerships. In 2023, exports of construction services generated 9 billion ringgit in revenue, reflecting the country's growing role in the global market. MATRADE added it will continue to promote Malaysia as a key sourcing destination for construction materials and solutions through initiatives like the INSP. Kerana Investment Bank Berhad has maintained its forecast for Malaysia's gross domestic product (GDP) growth at 5% for 2024 and expects it to moderate to 4.8% in 2025. The expectation is aligned with the Department of Statistics Malaysia (DOSM) projection for the third quarter of this year. In a note, the investment bank anticipates growth to slow further in the final quarter to around 4.6% as growth momentum typically eases on a quarter-to-quarter basis. The growth outlook remains vulnerable to external factors, including potential slowdown in advanced economies due to the lag effects of higher interest rates. Kerana also highlighted that heightened geopolitical tensions in the West Asia also pose a risk, disrupting the global supply chain. It said Malaysia's export remained fragile, heavily dependent on China's recovery and the United States' economic performance. It added the expected ringgit appreciation against the US dollar could reduce export receipts, especially from the United States. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has maintained its 2024 global growth forecast at 3.2%, consistent with its July projection, as detailed in the latest World Economic Outlook. The report highlights significant uncertainty in the global economic outlook, noting that newly elected governments may bring major changes in trade and fiscal policies, impacting nearly half the global population. It said rising financial market volatility has rekindled concerns over hidden vulnerabilities, increasing anxiety about monetary policy, especially in inflation-stricken nations facing a slowdown. Geopolitical tensions could further strain trade and investment, it added, potentially threatening long-term growth and complicating central bank policies. IMF Chief Economist Pierre Olivier Gaurinchas expressed concern about the impact of tariffs and trade policy uncertainty, which could reduce global output by about 0.5% by 2026. While global growth remains steady, prospects are weakening. Emerging markets are projected to grow around 4.2% this year and next, led by strong performance in emerging Asia. He emphasized sustainable economic growth should stem from domestic reforms that foster technology, competition and productive investment. Still ahead, Putin touts multipolar world order at BRICS summit. An irreversible multipolar world order is being formed, President Vladimir Putin said on Wednesday while opening the BRICS summit in the central Russian city of Kazan. Elaborating further, he said the process of forming a multipolar world order is underway, consisting of a dynamic and irreversible process. Russian President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday touted the creation of a new multipolar world order at the BRICS summit, a gathering of world leaders he hopes will show that Western attempts to isolate Moscow over its Ukraine offensive have failed. The meeting in the city of Kazan is the largest diplomatic forum in Russia since Putin ordered troops into Ukraine in 2022, triggering a barrage of Western sanctions and international condemnation. Around 20 leaders, including from China, India, Turkey, Iran and Malaysia, are gathering in the central city of Kazan, where they will address topics such as developing a BRICS-led international payment system and the conflict in West Asia. Moscow sees the platform as an alternative to Western-led international organizations like the G7, a position supported by key ally Chinese President Xi Jinping. Putin also mentioned that more than 30 countries have expressed a desire to join BRICS. On a separate development, North Korea has sent 1,500 more soldiers to Russia, according to Seoul's spy agency, on Wednesday, with 10,000 troops expected to be deployed by December. The latest deployment brings the number of Pyongyang's troops in Russia to 3,000. Seoul's spy agency last week said Pyongyang had decided to send a large-scale troop deployment to Russia to fight against Ukraine, cementing Pyongyang's contentious military alliance with Moscow. Lawmaker Park Sun-won said this when met after a briefing by the National Intelligence Service. South Korea has long claimed the nuclear-armed North is supplying Russia with weapons for use in Ukraine, and Seoul expressed alarm over the troop deployment, which comes after Kim Jong-un and Russian President Vladimir Putin signed a military deal in June. The United States and NATO have yet to confirm the deployment. The government is prepared with an evacuation plan should the United Nations UN decide to withdraw peacekeeping forces, including the Malaysian battalion MAL BAT 850-11 from Lebanon following heightened tensions in the country. Foreign Minister Dato Sri Muhammad Hassan said discussions had been held with the UN on the matter, and any decision to withdraw or remain would require a mandate from the UN, as the United Nations interim force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, operated under its banner.
Kita telah pun menyuarakan agar bangsa-bangsa bersatu melihat itu melalui Security Council, melihat keberadaan UNIFIL di Lebanon, dan untuk kita membuat gerak kerja bila kita nak keluarkan, sebab kita tak boleh keluarkan secara bersendirian. Di bawah mandat ini, bangsa-bangsa bersatu yang akan membuat pengunduran secara bersama.
The minister was speaking to reporters after distributing contributions to over 200 recipients at his constituency. In sports, Malaysia can strike gold in other events at 2026 Commonwealth Games. Stay with us. Youth and Sports Minister Hannah Yeoh feels that Malaysia is capable of striking gold in other sports and does not need to worry about some of the country's potential medal sports being excluded from the 2026 Commonwealth Games in Scotland from the 23rd of July to the 3rd of August. Hannah was in an upbeat mood despite Malaysia expecting to lose 16 medals at the quadrennial Games in 2026 following the exclusion of potential medal sports including badminton, diving and squash. She added that Malaysia respects the organisers' decision to pick whichever sports it wanted to be contested at the prestigious multi-sports games.
Pengumuman semalam dan jangkaan awal selepas pengumuman tersebut, Malaysia bakal hilang 16 pingat dalam sukan yang digugurkan. Okey, tetapi kita hormati ini adalah privilege penganjur. Kita ada sukan-sukan yang telah dipilih yang kita ada potensi seperti weightlifting, okay, seperti lawn bowl. Kita juga ada kekuatan.
She was met at the launch of the 2024 is Next program at the National Sports Institute ISN today. Yesterday, the Commonwealth Sports Federation CGF confirmed Glasgow as the host city of the 2026 Commonwealth Games after Malaysia rejected the offer to replace the Australian state of Victoria, which was the original host. Only 10 sports will be contested across 4 venues compared with 19 sports during the 2022 edition in Birmingham, England. About 3,000 athletes from 74 Commonwealth countries and territories are set to compete in the 2026 Commonwealth Games. Johor Darul Ta'zim's JDT undefeated record in the ASEAN Champions League Elite ended when they lost 3-1 to South Korean side Gwangju on Tuesday. In the match held at Yongjin Meru Stadium, Gwangju started strong, drawing first blood in the 3rd minute through winger Jazir Asane. Jazir further punished JDT just 3 minutes later by cleverly stealing the ball from defender Feroz Baharudin, gifting his team their second goal. However, Feroz made amends when he headed in a corner from Yuan Muniz in the 27th minute. Jazir again proved to be a thorn to JDT, providing the assist for Hyo Yul's header, which deflected off JDT's Park Jun Hyung into the net in the final minute of Gwangju's 3rd goal. The Southern Tigers will next host South Korean side Ulsan HD at Sultan Ibrahim Stadium, Iskandar Putri, Johor Bahru for their 4th match on the 5th of November. Aymeric Laporte scored with 9 minutes left to lead Cristiano Ronaldo's Al Nassr to a 1-0 win over Halal of Iran in Dubai on Tuesday as big spending Saudi Pro League clubs dominate the league phase of the ASEAN Champions League Elite. The win moves the Riyadh-based club onto 7 points from the opening 3 games, 2 points behind their table-topping compatriots Al Hilal and Al Ahly in the revamped Continental Club Championship. Al Nassr were frustrated by a resolute Istiklal team who had been forced to play the game on a neutral ground due to security concerns in Iran. Goalkeeper Said Hossein Hosseini frustrated Stefano Paoli's team until the 81st minute when he pushed Ronaldo's goal-bound header high into the air and Laporte rose to nod in the rebound. The win put Al Nassr in a strong position to advance to the knockout rounds of the competition when the top 8 finishes in the 12-team leagues in both East and West Asia advance. The round of 16 will be played on a home and away basis in March, while the quarterfinal, semi-final and final will be held as one-off matches in Saudi Arabia in April and May. That's it from us this evening. In our top story, government to ensure construction sector remains competitive, sustainable. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic evening.